Joel,
Let's
my
go,
brother. Let's fucking go.
Let's
Let's
go.
go.
Let's do this.
This is something we've been talking about for a while. You know, we met each other, 6-9 months ago?
Yeah.
I was sitting outside my villa and I could hear you were on it. I think you were on a sales call or something. And I was like, this guy is closing right now.
I'm going to listen in.
Yeah. I'm going to listen in.
Learn some skills.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, obviously we connected. We're here in
Oh, hang on
Bali.
a minute. Were you the guy that just kept looking through the window when I was sleeping?
Bro, I was like,
that you?
I was like underneath. I was downstairs all the time. But yeah, man, like we connected really well, and the reason why I want you on the podcast here is because I see you as a high performance individual. There's a lot of people in Bali, you know what I mean? But I think when you have a good mix of health, spirituality, well-being, and you have that, hustle mindset as well, I think that is really the perfect mix. And I truly believe like you embody that, so first thing first, what would you say, what's the characteristic of a high performance individual, a high performance man in like your perspective?
I think it's really understanding understanding yourself. Because at the end of the day, and I want to kind of give a little backstory just to give an idea on what happened with me. I didn't know what a high performing, person was or how to be, fully fulfilled with myself. I just thought making as much money as possible was going to bring me fulfillment.
Yeah.
And bro, I remember there was a time, and I'll admit this, I'll be completely transparent. I remember at one point I made the most money I've ever made in my life. I closed stupid amounts of deals. The paycheck came through. I've opened my account. I've looked at my bank account, and the feeling of seeing a large number in my bank, I thought was going to make me feel so good. Like, I thought I was going to be fulfilled because my whole life, all I wanted to do is earn like 10 grand a month, and I thought I'll make it. Yeah. But then when I quadrupled that, looked at my bank account, and I'm like, I don't feel fulfilled at all. Yeah. And I laid in bed and I had like tears rolling down my eyes thinking, fuck.
And how many years was that over? Like that grind of like, I'm going to make a decision to make money, and then that realization?
My whole life. I had this realization when I was 35. That was 2 years ago. Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, if money isn't the key factor to make me a high-performing individual, like, what is? So then I went down this journey of like personal development, personal discovery, and I realized I didn't understand my mission, my vision, my value, my purpose. Yeah. And then once I started discovering that and what motivated me, I was like, okay, so that's what I'm aiming for. That's what I want to do. So now, the more money I make, I know where it's going. And in my mind, and we can talk about this, further down the line, but I realized that my happiness comes from giving. Yeah. Right? Whether it's giving my time to entrepreneurs or giving my time to people that can't be helped. So that's when, I created a charity as well. So now, the more money I make, I'm just a vehicle to be able to give it away. Yeah. And that's my happiness. So that's what motivates me and drives me into becoming a high-performance individual. Yeah.
So, and I love that. I think a big thing for a lot of people, it's like, the whole self-help thing. It's like, I'm going to read books, I'm going to buy courses. But I think a lot of people, they don't have anything to put it into. You know what I mean? They're just like consuming, but then like, what am I actually going to use it for, So what would you say, what is that journey? What are the key aspects, because there's a lot of different ways. There's spirituality and, personal development, business. Like, what are the key aspects that kind of like got you to almost like find yourself and figure out what was important for you to really like level up?
That's a really good question. Really good
We're asking good questions here.
There we go.
Yeah.
Straight up. The way I look at it is like, right, okay, so how can I be in the best shape of my life, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally? And it's first of all focused on my fitness, on my health. Because what I started to realize is if my body wasn't healthy, my mind wasn't healthy. And if my mind wasn't healthy, my emotions were all over the place. And if my emotions weren't intact, I had no discipline or motivation to actually get things done. So I started really focusing on my health first. And then that's where things slowly started to get better and better. But health is the first thing that changed my life.
Love that. And what was that? Was it just like gym, or was it biohacking or nutrition, like the whole thing, or what was it?
I've been to the gym my whole life, bro. It wasn't going to the gym, because going to the gym, it was just part of my daily routine. Yeah. So I didn't feel any healthy just going to the gym. It was really understanding a bit behind what's behind the curtain.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, well, who can help me? So biohacking, biomechanics, trying to understand what kind of supplements I need, or do I need any supplements, or like, what's my sleep like? How can I improve my sleep? So there's so many different areas of your life where you can divide health into so many different sections.
Yeah.
So then that was it. So then I went down the road of discovering so many different areas of health. And I thought, damn, I didn't know this.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
But that's key for a high-performing individual.
Yeah. Yeah, so you feel like the health, like the body, like really just that vitality and energy is really the vehicle for you to then see things in a different way. And then what do you then do from a personal development standpoint, like mental standpoint? What are the things you practice on a day-to-day basis to keep yourself sharp?
So this is going back to really understanding your mission, vision, value, and purpose, right? There's something that we teach, and I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know, but the wheel of life, right? So let's understand where you are now and where you really want to get to, because it's all about creating that gap. And it's the same in sales, right? It's like, yes, you can sell people's pain, but it's easy to sell from where they are now to where they really want to get. It's like figuring out that gap and showing them how big it is.
Yeah.
So then you start going down roads of like, okay, well, let's figure out how I can get more disciplined, because I think there's a massive difference between motivation and discipline.
Oh, for sure.
Discipline is doing the same thing day in, day out, and just you need to do it to get shit done. Motivation, some days you have great motivation, some days you can't be asked to do anything. So how can you keep on having consistency, right? So then once you understand your discipline, and this is something that really, really intrigued me. My whole life, I always used to tell people, listen, once you find pain, that's your motivator. Once you truly know what you're running away from, use that as fuel to get you to where you want to get to faster.
Love that, yeah.
Right? Now, and this is what I used to teach. It's like, okay, well, think about it. It's easier to run away from pain than it is to run towards pleasure. But then let me ask you this. If you always need pain as a motivator, what do you always need?
Pain, like you're always stressed, you're finding negativity almost, like you're finding,
And that was a big realization for me.
Yeah.
Because I was always trying to get myself into painful situations that used to stress me out. So then it's like, okay, well, how can I remove that pain and find different ways to discipline myself? And that is the work you need to put in.
Yeah. Yes, it's really just like, I remember you told me about the work you did with that lady in Dubai there, and it was really just like shattering your limiting belief and like getting you to see things from a different perspective.
Exactly. There was one big lesson that again I never even thought about. She said, Joe, what's your purpose in life? And I said, my purpose in life is to help as many people as possible, entrepreneurs, help people make money, give people opportunities that they don't have in front of them. She said, no, that's your mission. She said, what's your purpose? And then I started saying all these random things. She said, no. She said, what's your purpose?
It's a big one though. Like,
that's the thing. And I'm like, well, I'm telling you my purpose. She said, no. She said, that's your mission. She said, everyone's purpose is exactly the same. And I was like, well, how's that possible? She said, don't get me wrong, there's different layers, but the foundation of your purpose is what? Your foundation of your purpose is becoming the best version of yourself. And that is your purpose in life. That is everyone's purpose in life. Because the minute you stop growing is the minute you die. So that gave me loads of amazing realizations of what I needed to start doing is, again, becoming the best version of myself. Physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, to actually grow and become the person I am now,
So that's kind of like the compass, like you're steering for, like everything is like about becoming better and improve and grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what would you say to, like, because a lot of my clients and audience and that sort of thing, they're like, in the 30s, 40s sort of thing. And obviously they're coming to us for, one, a obvious physical change they want to have, but underneath that, there is that. It's the confidence, it's the belief, it's the energy and the vitality and stuff. So how would you coach a man? How would you speak to your younger self, like in 30s, 40s sort of thing? If you needed a bit of a pep talk, you needed to get in shape, you needed to get some discipline and some stuff in there, what would you say would be the 30-day protocol, like every man should do to freaking like start getting on track again with their things?
The biggest thing is understanding your why. You know, if there is no why behind you changing, why change? And that's the thing. If you're happy where you are, if you're happy, you know, with the health, you know, not really being able to run around a park, or, you know, you get unhealthy when you're walking upstairs and you feel like you're going to pass out. And if you're happy with that, don't change. If you're happy that you got to a stage where you're fat and feeling uncomfortable, stay like that. Don't change. You know, but if you're willing to make a change, if you want to do everything possible to put yourself in a position where you want to get fit and healthy. So let's say you have grandkids, you can run around at the park chasing your grandkids and be healthy, or be there to walk your daughter down the aisle. Like, if you want to get into shape, you need to start thinking about your health. If you really don't care and you don't have a future and you don't really want to, you know, be the best version of yourself, don't change. Right? But again, understanding your why. So is your why, you know, you want to be there to see your grandkids, to see your great-great-grandkids, and to be an example. Because if we think about it, if I look at, you know, my parents, you know, some parents are your role models. And if you look at them and they're not fit, they're not healthy, you're like, well, maybe I'm just going to follow the same pattern. Yeah. But if you really want to inspire your children, your kids, and people around you, become that leader, become that example. And I think that is the important thing, become an example. Don't, you know, do you really want to be the person that people look at you, they're like, that person doesn't provide any value. Yeah. I don't want to be like that person. You want to help influence people. Yeah. Lead by example.
And why do you think it's so hard for people? Because I think, like, as you said, like our purpose, I think deep down everybody wants to be better. They want to be the best version of themselves. But why is it so hard for people to make these changes, you think? Like these obvious changes, like I'm out of shape, I'm not doing what I want to do right now. What do you think that is?
There's two main things. The first thing is their environment. Yeah. Because if you're stuck in an environment where, you know, I like to say, you know, if you're in a comfortable state, if you're comfortable, I say comfort is the breeding ground of mediocrity. You know, it's like when you get too comfortable, you don't want to change. If you slowly start changing your environment, so let's just say you're a very unmotivated person and all your friends around you are super unmotivated, it's hard for you to change. But then if you all of a sudden start, you know, you meet someone down the pub and that person's fit and healthy and that person has said something and is maybe your age or older and has inspired you, you're like, if he can do it, I can do it. And then all of a sudden you start mixing around other people that are in this environment or this community, and all they want to do is just get healthier and they live a better life and a happier life. It inspires you to start changing your surroundings. Yeah. Right? So I always say, change your surroundings. That is the first thing to do in order to make a change. If not, the second thing is going back to your why. You know, why do you want to make a change? What's your future going to look like? What's going to happen if you don't get to a certain stage where you can't be the father or you can't be the husband you've always wanted to be? You're not letting yourself down. And this is where people get a bit selfish. And this is why people don't fucking change. Yeah. Right? It's because they get too selfish and just think about themselves. Why should I change? I know I'm fat. I know I'm not healthy. It's not about you. You know, especially if you have a family. Yeah. It's about being the husband you've always wanted to be. It's about being the father you've always wanted to be. It's about changing for other people and helping them. So don't be selfish. Yeah. I think that's what people are. Sometimes they just go down this hole and just think about themselves.
Yeah, they have, like, I have a sister, she's a mom to two, you know, and it's almost like I have a couple of good friends, there's parents, and it's almost like they use the reverse thing. It's like, I'm there for the kids, that's why I don't have time for myself. Like, I even had that, like, literally that same conversation with my sister. I'm like, because it's always been a little bit challenging for her to really make a health routine stick, and almost like her limiting belief under the things was, I'm a bad mom if I'm selfish and taking time for myself. Almost, you know what I mean? Where it's you saying it is completely vice versa, and I'm in the same belief. It's like the more you are, the more you can give to those people.
Exactly, exactly. But then talking about selfishness, let's just say your kids see you just eating rubbish.
They're gonna do the same.
You know, exactly. Let's say you go home and all you're doing, you're just getting McDonald's and takeaways. Yeah. Your kids are gonna think that's the normal.
Yeah.
So what you're actually doing, you're actually being selfish, and you're putting your kid's life at risk. And again, that is selfish. Why would you put your kid's life at risk?
Yeah.
So like, it's all about mentality. It's all about your mindset. You know, there's this thing where it goes, you know, imagine if you have two sisters, they're the same age, you know, you've got Mary who's got 2 kids, you've got, you know, Jane who's got 2 kids. One of them is super fat, doesn't go to the gym, right? Has the same amount of time in the day, has to work 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day. And the other sister is super fit, super healthy, right? Has the same work, they work together. But why is one super fat and why is one super fit? It's just to do with the mindset. Now, what happens is, what happens if they swap mindsets, right? They just swap bodies all of a sudden. What happens is, the fat sister, the overweight sister, all of a sudden starts to lose weight, right? Because they have the mindset of, I need to get healthy, I need to get fit, I need to do more, I need to be more.
And what is that mindset? Is that driver towards the why? Is that like necessity to change or
it's
do it?
It's necessity to become the best version of yourself, so you can actually influence other people to do the same that you care about. Be that leader, lead by example. Because that's the thing, you know, it's kind of like being a good manager, right? What's the difference between a manager and a leader, right? You don't really want to become a manager, you want to become a leader. A manager just tells people what to do. Right? A leader, what they do is they actually inspire people, and people are like, well, if that person can do it, I can do it as well. So why don't you become a leader in your family, a leader in your community, a leader in your environment, inspire other people so they can actually make a change.
So you think like the fastest way to do that for anyone listening here, if they feel like, okay, I've been stuck for a while, is what, like, it's change your surroundings and get that like input and influence from someone else to actually see how it's done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. You know, there's lots of different ways where you can start networking. You know, there's lots of different apps. I mean, you know, and this is something that we teach in our community as well. It's like, build your tribe. That's one of the topics. That's one of the modules, build your tribe. But what does that actually mean? You know, the nice thing about Bali, right, is everyone here is here to become the best version of themselves. And the way they do it is they hang around with people who are so much better than them. It's not a jealousy thing, it's just an inspiration thing. So all of a sudden you want to keep becoming the best version of yourself, and you're so inspired. And people are there motivating you, like, bro, come on, bro, like, you know, let's do this together. And all of a sudden you've got a support group. And I think a community is so important. A community of people around you with the same why, the same mission. It can take you so much further, because we can do so much more with our bodies, but our mind kind of limits us. Once we go and we see other people and they're doing it and they're pushing you, you can do so much more. So change that environment.
Love that. So really changing into you know, I wanted to ask you about travel, because you lived in different countries and that. So
just a few.
Just a few. You're Spanish. I'll just learn that. You know, I'm personally going to Dubai right now. You lived in Dubai for a while. I've been
just 10 years.
Just 10 years. Just 10 years. Just as a universal thing, how has traveling around changed you as a person? Like, if you have to do one thing.
Getting to understand different cultures respond in different ways. Different cultures have different mindsets and mentalities. So, for example, some cultures don't really say please and thank you as much as other countries. And just because some cultures don't say that, it's okay. Why are you looking for validation? Why are you looking for someone to say thank you back if, you know, you don't know their background? So I think really traveling around, you know, I've lived in Spain, England, South America, you know, Bali, Australia. Like, I've lived in just a few countries, but I've been to, I'm almost on 40 countries. I've realized is stop judging people. Stop trying to assume where they're coming from. And this is something I really learned and really helped me with sales as well. It's just because someone has a certain way of thinking, it's okay. They're not wrong. That's their reality. And the biggest lesson I learned is, rather than going into like a battle and trying to like objection handle, like trying to convince someone otherwise, it's like, okay, well, I respect what you're saying, and you know, your reality is your reality, and that's fine. Would you mind if I give you a different perspective? Would you mind if we look at it at a different point of view? Right? Because I've accepted that your reality is right, and now I'm going to go from a different angle and give them my perspective. So the biggest lesson I've learned is, rather than going into battle and saying, you're wrong, I don't believe you, different cultures have different beliefs, but it's the same. You can go to anywhere in the world, you can go into the same country, there's people with different beliefs. But it's made me realize, accept people's answers, accept people's reality, but rather than telling them, ask for permission if they're open to see things from a different point of view. And then that way you can have a lot more deeper communication and help someone change their mindsets. You know, so it's like if someone has always wanted to try and lose weight and they can't do it, that's fine. They can't do it because that's their reality and that's the truth. Who are we to say, oh, you can't do it? But once we accept that, it's like, okay, well, I understand that's your reality. Would you be open to seeing it from the way I see it? Absolutely. And I just want to touch base on this. The reason why we want to ask for permission. Imagine if I come up to you and I just slap you straight in the face. You're like, bro, what was that for? But if I say to you, man, listen, be prepared, right? I'm going to slap you in the face. You're more prepared for it. But you take it, right? It's the same as when you're trying to help someone and change their perspective. And that's the biggest lesson.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, we're both in sales and that sort of thing, and like I look at sales as one of the best personal development skills to do. You know what I mean? Because it is so much like psychology and connection and communication and stuff. So, what would you say? Not to speak to salesperson in general, but like, what would you say is the biggest things that you learned from a personal development standpoint from doing sales from all these years? How many years have you done it for now?
22.
22 years.
Online.
I wasn't even born. Almost.
Online 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the biggest thing from a personal development standpoint? Even dating and people and everything. Like, how has sales made you a better man?
Stop assuming.
Yeah.
Don't assume anything.
Yeah.
And you think you can have the same conversation with hundreds of different people, and you think you find patterns. You're like, I know what this person's going to say. I'm just going to jump in. I'm just going to start. Even if you think you know, assume you don't know. Don't assume that you know. Right? And it gets you into a lot of trouble, man.
Yeah.
Because what you really want to do is, even you think you know, just go deeper. Ask more questions. Be more curious. Start digging deep. And in terms of personal development as well, it's always go in why 7 layers deep. So it's like, you know, why do you want to do it? Okay, but why? But why? Once you go 7 layers deep, you realize that your problem isn't the surface level problem that you have. It's so much deeper. So sales, again, psychology, it's, you know, understanding how to ask emotional based questions, you know, intelligent questions where you help someone really go deep and truly understand their why, or help them find their why. Because people think they know, but they don't. You know, and that's the beautiful thing about going through a discovery stage. Is understand what they've done in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what they liked, what they don't like. Why didn't they just do it themselves? Why even make a change? Why not just stay where they are now? Like, why now? You know, and let's say we can, you know, come in and help them build out their vision of the future. Because sometimes people can't really picture a future. They're so used to where they are now. So what does that look like? And if they can't, it's like, okay, well, you know, would you be opposed of us building that together, and let's try and create something together? Then once they get there, it's like, now that you can see your future, what does that kind of make you feel, knowing that you can achieve that? How you go from logistical to emotional. So now they're in an emotional state. And that's just the first part. You know, and there's just so many different parts of the journey you can actually help people. And the nice thing about sales as well is, you know, you're not there to actually, you know, make a deal. You're there to truly inspire someone, whether they go with you or not. Because all you need is just sometimes someone to say something to you or ask you a question. You're like, oh, wow. Have that like aha moment. Like, oh, wow. I didn't think about life like that. I didn't think about it that deep. And it's super powerful. So everything kind of comes back to the why, as you said, like the reason why we're doing what we're doing.
Start with why, yeah. And you think like people are simply just not, you would say that would be the like one takeaway from today. It's like dig deep. Mm-hmm. Wherever you are, dig deep and figure out the reason why.
And if you can't do it, get someone to help you do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you need guidance.
Yeah.
You know, you're so stuck in your own little bubble that, you know, you can't get out the bubble. You can't get past the bubble. So sometimes you need someone to come and pop the bubble for you. And we're like, let me pop it and we'll show you a completely different world.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, as long as you don't mind grabbing my hand and we'll go on this journey together.
Yeah.
But first of all, are you committing? You know, are you ready to make a change?
Yeah.
Do you want to make a change? If you don't, like I said before, don't change. Stay where you are.
Yeah.
But what if you stay in the same position for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, nothing changes?
Yeah.
Like, what does that reality look like?
Yeah.
And would you feel fulfilled?
Yeah.
Is it just you that you're letting yourself down, or do you have family around that you're letting down as well?
Yeah.
Because it's a much bigger picture.
Yeah, and that's why sales is like, it's so powerful, because it really is like you couldn't sell as you are, as effective as you are, if you haven't done the work yourself. So like that's why, you know, in a nutshell, entrepreneurship is really just like the ultimate test for a human being to like really just dig deep in all areas of life, because it's everything. You know what I mean? If you're not healthy, you can't be good. If you're not good at the skills, you can't be good. So
this is the thing. This is what we teach our students, because, you know, we have Academy, which first it's understanding your, again, mission, vision, value, purpose, your why. Be your true, authentic self, and then we teach you sales, right? But one of the things we say on our calls before new students join is, how do you think you'll be able to influence someone if you haven't been in their shoes? And they're like, well, what do you mean? Well, how can you influence someone to make a big change in their life, where it's maybe investing into something where they've never invested before, if you haven't done it? So put yourself in their shoes first. You know, don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. You know, commit, make that change. So when you are on the other side of the table, you've been there, you know what it feels like, and you can help guide and influence someone to make the right decision.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's powerful, man. It's powerful. And how is sort of like, you know, if you're thinking about just, you know, pure, what would you say, like dating, socializing, being around other people, like how does like sales like help you with that sort of thing? Because I think that it's a good skill to have, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because
I'm gonna be really careful what I say here.
Yeah, but like, how is it
Bloody
more fun
amazing.
to be around?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, oh, God. Right, okay, so I'm gonna tell you this. It's so interesting when you know how to ask the right questions.
Exactly, yeah.
How you can actually lead a conversation, being a person of interest.
Yeah.
And yet they don't know anything about you. It's like you
just done a discovery call.
Right? It's like it's like you go on a date,
yeah.
right? And all of a sudden you start asking all these questions, and
they've never been asked that before, by the way.
Exactly. And then all you're doing is maybe like mirroring questions, like just repeating the last thing that they say maybe 5 times and then going deeper.
Yeah.
Or you're guiding them through like your sales script.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day or next day they send you a message, they're like, I've never had anyone so interesting. Or I've never had someone who I found so interesting. I'm like, interesting? You don't know a thing about me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, but it was such a deep conversation. Yeah, it was all about you. People love talking about themselves.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. It's the 80-20, right?
Yeah.
Get someone to talk more than you're talking.
Yeah. So that's been helpful.
It's been all right.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with networking.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about this a lot, is although you have sales skills, what people don't realize is it's a very dangerous tool to have. Because you have the power to influence. Yeah. I don't like to use the word manipulate, because manipulation is getting someone to do something that they don't want to do. Influencing is influencing someone to make action to change their life for the better. But I tell our students, like, I make more money by networking than I do with my own business now. Why? Because as an entrepreneur, what do? We like to find problems, we like to solve problems. As a salesperson, what do you like to do? You love to go deep into finding problems and really going deep and finding the right solution. So now when I'm networking and I'm, with, high performing, individuals, I like to ask questions. I like to go deep. I like to figure out, what they like about what they're doing. What do they need to change if they could? What would that look like once they make the change? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, because I'm good at networking, I now can connect that person with that person. And I can make like a 5% introduction fee, and now I'm just making passive income.
You're just connecting,
Just connecting.
Yeah. I remember I was listening to, I think it was Grant Cardone and Scooter Braun at the 2020 Growth Conference.
Nice.
And Scooter Braun, he's the guy that basically found Justin Bieber. So he's like this big record label guy sort of thing. And he was talking about like networking, how it basically is just you and I becoming friends. And then in 20 years from now, maybe we need something for each other.
Yeah.
He said, that's how you should treat networking. Nothing else, just make friends and then you will see from there. I think it's a cool way to look at it, because oftentimes we go in with that different mindset, and I also think a lot of people think salespeople are like, they're selfish and they're there for them and then there for the deal. That's kind of like the reputation that name has. But in the end of the day, as you say, it's really just about helping people.
But it's also about being a person of interest as well. So like, if I come up to you and I say, hey man, like, good to meet you. What do you do? I'm a fitness coach, or I'm a salesperson, or I've got a recruitment agency. That sounds boring as fuck, right? But if you turn around and someone asks me, hey, what do you do? I'm like, well, you know how there's a lot of people, especially in Bali, where, they're some kind of coach, online coach, fitness coach, life coach. Well, what we do is we actually help these people scale their business by building sales teams. It sounds so much more interesting than just saying a sales company.
Yeah.
So, try and then put the, the attention.
Have the pitch,
back on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sound more interesting than just the average Joe.
And that again comes back to the why. Like, why are we doing what we're doing? You gotta do the work. So before we wrap up here, what would you say is kind of like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 nuggets you can give to a man? He's in his 30s. He's inspired by you being to 40 countries. You're selling. You're living in Bali. You've been to Dubai. What would you say to that guy to basically be, 1, inspired, and then 2, what would be the next action he should take from maybe a professional and a personal standpoint in order to be ready and able to maybe open up his world for more opportunities? Like, what are some skills and things he need to do like right now to actually take action on?
First of all, it's never too late. Like, when I turned 30, I lost everything. I had multiple businesses. I lost everything. But the main thing that I needed in life, and the first thing I needed in life, is learn how to sell, learn how to talk. Because what you need cash flow, right? So let's just say you have a 9 to 5. Why don't you learn sales skills so you can actually make money on the side, whether it's by networking or selling for someone else? Using that cash flow will eventually allow you to start doing investments or, doing other businesses on the side. And then once that business on the side starts to kind of kick off, put your full attention on that and then grow it. But sales is the number one thing to focus on.
Yeah.
But then you need to understand, and it's what happened with me, going back again. It's like, you still need to understand your why. You still need to be physically healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, and spiritually healthy. Once you have all those in line, then you're unstoppable. Unstoppable. But it's not too late.
Yeah.
Look at, KFC. He started, what was it?
Oh, yeah, 60 and whatever, 64 or something. Yeah.
Like, it's just never too late.
Yeah.
But it's understanding, and this is the hard truth. It's looking yourself in the mirror. It's like, well, am I happy with the job that I have? If I'm not happy, what needs to change? What if nothing changes? What if I do the same thing for the next 30 years? What if things get worse? And I always like to give this kind of example. It's like, well, let's just say you figured out exactly where you want to be, right? You figured out how it's going to feel to have everything that you've ever wished for on that vision board. Like, let's go into the future. Let's say in 10 years' time, we've opened a window, right? There's 2 windows, but we open the first window, and we look through that first window, and we see everything that we wanted. We've achieved everything. We've achieved that, the house, the family, the cars, the health, the wealth, like everything's there. And it just makes you feel amazing, fulfilled, complete. But then there's window number 2. You open that window. You look through that window. And nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. You're exactly where you are now, the same job, the same boring life, getting more and more unhealthy, not happy. Like, how does that make you feel? Like, truly, how does that make you feel? Because if you're happy and you want that to be your future, don't change. But if you really want to make a change, focus on that window number one.
Yeah.
And use that as a motivator.
Yeah.
So understanding your why.
Love that.
And where you want to go.
My brother, you're the man. Appreciate your thing.
That's fun, bro. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.